You ready to do this, Steve?
Let's do it, Spence. Mike Tyson's punch it, Chewie!
Welcome, super friends, to the Fortress of Nerditude podcast, a safe place to talk about all things in nerd and pop culture. I'm Spencer Stapleton, and my co-pilot, as always, is Steve Madura.
Hello, hello.
We're two best friends that, despite being fathers and husbands, we just refuse to grow up. Thank you for joining us. This is episode number 55, or 55. We release every Thursday morning on iTunes, Google Music, and Stitcher. If you like what you are hearing, hit that subscribe button and get us each and every week automatically to your favorite podcasting device. Steve?
It's like crack for your ears.
55 episodes. How are you feeling?
You've gone gangster on me. 55 cents. The price of a cup of coffee. For that price, you can help save the children.
You know, I was thinking about that tonight because I went down to Temple Square with the Boy Scouts, and so we were going around. We were looking at all the lights.
Oh, nice!
And we went into like the assembly hall, and we heard some choirs singing. It was really beautiful music. It was also a great chance to get out of the cold because it was like 20 degrees outside.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had planned to go get a hot chocolate from Maverick. It's just a gas station chain, but they have really good hot chocolate. We had to go to like 3 Mavericks to find hot chocolate because they were all out. But let me tell you, the price of a medium cup of coffee or hot chocolate is like $1.53. So, inflation, man.
Yeah. So it's odd to me that you had to continue to go to different gas stations as opposed to being like, okay, this Maverick didn't have one. Let's go to, McDonald's is right there or something else. Like you were like, no, we're going to find another Maverick because of their hot chocolate.
They have really good like hot chocolate as far as like, just gas station hot chocolate or, whatnot. But it's pretty high quality.
Is that a thing? Like gas station hot chocolate? Is that like I've never known like gas station hot chocolate. That's the good stuff. For instance,
when it's 20 degrees outside, yes it is.
Well, so for instance, it's funny because Starbucks, who you'd think has, kind of a world reputation for having really premium hot drinks. I go there a lot of times because there's business meetings or whatever it's a convenient place to meet up or whatever. And a lot of my colleagues, of course, get coffee, and I'm left to either like steamed milk, which I'm not like 12 months and I just got off the bottle. And so I don't want that.
Right.
And that just looks foolish. I don't want the apple cider stuff is pretty good if you get a little caramel on the top, but their hot chocolate, it is for crap, man. Like it tastes horrible. Like I would imagine it tastes similar to what you would do if you took the coffee grinds and just like put them in the bottom of a cup and put a little bit of hot water in it and drank that, and it was all grainy at the bottom. That is like they've taken hot chocolate grinds and just chalked them in the bottom. Ugh.
So it tastes like you're licking an ashtray, is what you're saying?
It's yeah. Oh my gosh, it's horrible. Like, and you would think like Starbucks, man, they would be really good hot chocolate, or even moderately good, but it is horrible. Horrible.
Hey Steve, I hate to inform you, but Mr. Starbucks, Joe Starbucks, actually listens to the show, and he was going to sponsor us, but now he's gonna revoke that. Sorry about that, Joe Starbucks.
Keep your blood money. Yes. Anyway,
Yeah.
So that's cool. So you went to Temple Square. It was cold tonight. It was funny because I was supposed to take the scouts, the young men, out to sledding tonight. And it's also like 20 degrees here. And the park district like closed the hill. I'm like, you can't close a piece of ground. It's like for anybody's use. Like, no, we closed. There's not enough snow. I'm like, who says? Is snow Nazi? There's there's an inch and a half, and I'm like, that's plenty to, get a few runs in before it turns to a mixture of mud and grass. So I was like really disappointed. I'm like, what the heck? All the boys ready to go. So we had to buy pizzas, and I had them plan for the rest of the quarter for 2018. So anyway,
Isn't that funny? Like when something falls apart, like, well, we do need to plan the first quarter of next year. So,
I got a pizza.
You wanted to have a fun activity. Now you're in a meeting having discussions about, calendaring.
I know.
It's like a corporate, thing to do. It's like,
I didn't even go either. I'm like, oh, by the way, I can't go. So Carter had a orchestra concert tonight. I thought it was on Thursday night. It was actually tonight. It was phenomenal. Like, I know I've talked about this before, but it's so cool to like see your kids doing things that you like didn't really know they could do or do so well. And he's like up there and like the last song. So they had some Christmas songs and some Hanukkah songs because Hanukkah's first night of Hanukkah's tonight. So happy Hanukkah to all our Hebrew listeners. But the last song they did was like a Star Wars medley, of course, because the Star Wars movie's coming out in days. And they said, okay, before we start, please make sure everybody's seated and whatnot. The lights go black and all of their bows light up. You got red, yellow, green, and blue. And yeah, so they all had like lightsaber bows, and they started on this dun 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 dun, dun and everybody was just like, yeah! It was awesome. It was really cool.
Did you take any video of that?
I did.
You'll have to send me some of that.
I can send it up. And it's cool too, because like, and I've told this before, but there's not many upright bass players. There's like one in Carter's grade, and it's him. And so the Star Wars one was all 3 grades, 6th, 7th, and 8th. So there were 3 bassists, but it's just so cool. Like it's awesome to see your kids excel at things, and you're just like, dang, like I couldn't do that. That's awesome. And he's, his hands are going up and down, back and forth, and I'm like, I could see him in some like jazz lounge and some seedy part of. Where's the blue guy on the piano? I don't know.
It's really funny that you bring that up because this podcast is actually going to release on the day that Star Wars releases on Thursday. Because Thursday night they kind of do like the pre-opening like at 7 o'clock. Like they used to do that like at midnight. Yeah. Like I remember 12:01. So technically counted as Friday. Now they start opening up shows like 7 o'clock on Thursday night.
I'm telling you, it's the Black Friday thing. It's gonna be like
they just want to pack in that extra money.
Gray Wednesday. It's like the pre-Black Friday. I'm like, come on.
Right. How excited are you for The Last Jedi?
I am honestly. I know we've talked about a lot of other movies. This one, and we're gonna get into this in Rebel Intelligence. Oh my gosh, it sounds, and everybody is saying it is unbelievable. Unlike any other Star Wars, it is akin to Empire Strikes Back.
See, I'm now on media blackout when it comes to The Last Jedi. Anytime anything like comes up, I'm like, nope, because I know we're in that week, and like,
I know,
people like reviewers and movie critics are starting to talk now. I'm like, nope, because they want to pump up the hype, right? And we've talked about this before. Like, if a movie's really good, the studio that puts it out, they want all that good press. They want all the good reviews. So they're like, about a week before you can talk about it. But movies that are bad, they're like, nope, you're not under an NDA until the Thursday after or the Friday afternoon that it releases. So people have already bought their tickets and whatnot.
So are you going to the Thursday night 7 o'clock show?
No, man, I couldn't get tickets to that. We actually have tickets to Saturday night at 9:30. My mom's in town right now. She flew out. She's actually at the Foo Fighters concert tonight with my brother.
Wow.
And she flew out here to go to Foo Fighters, and then Charlie's birthday is Thursday night. So she's going to come, and we're going to take Charlie out to dinner wherever he chooses, which, spoilers, probably going to be Cracker Barrel because he calls it the pancake place. Because he gets to go there and get pancakes, and then he gets to kind of look at the little toys and the candy that they have in the like little country store.
Gift shop.
You have to walk through. Yeah, so my guess is that's where we're going to have dinner on Thursday
That's
night.
awesome that if he has any choice of places to go, he's like, I want to go to where all of the 70 and up go on Sunday brunch buffet.
It's the toys and the candy, man.
Oh, that's awesome.
And of course, it'll be his birthday, and so if we go there, like he's going to ask for something, and it's his birthday, I have to give in, right? I mean, I should. I mean, if I love him, right?
Yeah,
right.
I mean, you love him through your wallet. That's how you love people.
Right. That's how you show kids you love them. And then Saturday we're actually gonna have his birthday party. We're gonna have Josh and his wife Steph and their kids come over. My mom's gonna come over, and he's having a Mario themed party. So we got a Super Mario, like Mario Kart cake. Are you
serious?
And we've got you know how you had the game Pin the Tail on the Donkey?
Oh yeah.
It's actually It's actually to pin the star to power up Mario and Luigi because they're trying to get away from Bowser. And so it got like a kind of a pin the star type of thing. And we're going to hide a bunch of the little Mario coins and make it kind of like a little scavenger hunt around the house for the kids to play. And then, of course, cake and ice cream, and we're going to do something for a meal. Just all these like Mario decorations.
Why didn't you tell me? Like when
we got these mustaches that we're gonna make everyone wear.
Yeah. When Carter was, I don't know, probably Charlie's age, maybe a little bit older, he had a Mario party, and we went like, this is like back in the day when we used to go all out for parties. Now I've become old and crotchety, but like we had I made a piñata that looked like a big Yoshi egg. It was a huge balloon. I mean, it was probably like 2 basketballs wide, this big thing, and I painted it white and then green spots on it. Went outside and did that. We did coins where I took these paper coins that had different things written on them where they could go for a different prize, and I taped them up to the ceiling in one of our rooms. And I got a small trampoline, and all the kids had to run and jump and try to jump and grab the trampoline or grab the coins. What was funny is there was this little fat kid named Jaden. And he was a little fat kid, and he couldn't jump and get him. And his mom was there, and I'm like, "No, I'll help you, buddy." And so he like comes and jumps in my arms. I'm like, "Oh, you're a thick one, aren't you?" And I was like, trying to like lift him up, and all of his rolls. I mean, it was hilarious. And I was a little fat kid, so I can say this. Anyway, so I'm trying to lift this poor kid up, and he's all like just squirming around like a dead fish. And I'm like, "Come on, buddy, get the coin." And then Carrie actually took eggs and she blew out the eggs and then painted them like little Yoshi things and filled them with glitter and then glued the bottoms. So these kids got to throw these eggs at this big mural that was painted of all these different like enemies of Bowser, or like Bowser and all the bad guys.
Like Koopas,
yeah. So,
Chain Chomps, and
and then we did like Mario Bingo. I mean, oh my gosh, it was crazy. You should check out her. Wow. She has it on Pinterest. You should check out some of the things she did, like a fondant cake she made with all these Mario. It was amazing.
Yeah, we've already like started transitioning into the crotchety old, like, I don't want to do that. Like, I thought we were going to make like a 2 or 3 layered like cake with fondant with like Mario, with the little blocks and, the question mark blocks, and all that. And Brita just went to Walmart and just ordered a Mario cake. And she's like, I ain't got time for that. I'm
a working mom. That's right.
Okay. I'm like, I would have done it. And she's like, no. I'm like, all right. You know us.
The other thing,
you're probably right.
The other thing that was really cool about that is we had some neighbors and they had one of those blow up things, those like big blow up things you put in your backyard. And I was like, hey, could we borrow that? They're like, yeah, sure. So I was going to put it in our house, but I didn't realize how big it was. And so I blew it up the night before. I mean, this thing was huge, like castle. They didn't tell me how big it was. And so we put it in the backyard and oh my gosh, the kids had so much fun. Those were the days.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I loved my kids.
It's just a family. It's just a family party. So like, we're not kind of going super crazy, but it'll be fun.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
We're excited. He's turning 5 and gosh, I can't believe how fast that's gone. Anyway, before I start crying, things have been great. Like my week is just busy but things are going along. Things are moving along quite fast. Oh, and a little bit of news.
Do tell.
So since you were super, super sick the last little while, this last weekend, I baked the cookies and I got them in the mail yesterday. And so the cookies have been sent out to the 4 individuals that did the reviews and ratings for us, because I didn't want you to share the plague with our super friends. And so that's out. And then the Thor Ragnarok poster winner, Brendan Myers, I mailed that out to him as well. So that should be arriving Thursday or Friday when the podcast drops for all of you guys, all you super friends. You should see some packages in the mail if you are one of the chosen few.
Well, I would say, number one, thank you, Spence, because this is the first week in probably 4 or 5 weeks when I've actually felt good. My voice is kind of coming back, but I still have a little bit, but it's only remnant now. So,
right,
those that are receiving, consider yourself blessed.
I mean, now, I didn't want it to be those cookies to be laced with the kryptonite that's taken down the Madura clan.
It's the black lung. I was down there one day. Right. That's awesome. Now, is there going to be something a little bit, or is that a little secret? A little special something.
Nope, that's just just that. Just
that.
Cookies.
There we go. Cool. Well, that is awesome. Very cool. I guess my week, I already said, it was good. This weekend was fun. I worked a lot of the week. Oh, it was funny. So I brought my daughters to work with me on Saturday because I had to go in and do some additional work, and they love coming to my work, and it's just like an office. I've got like a football and a baseball and a putting green in my office and a basketball hoop and stuff. So they like to play with that. But then they kind of got bored with that, and so I was like, oh, just take these dry erase markers, and there's a big board out there. They like went buck wild crazy. They drew like rainbows all over this thing. And it's like, from Steve Madura's daughters, the redheads. And so they have this huge thing. And I'm like, well, that's nice, because the last time I had Addison and Carter there, they drew, my dad smells like a fart. And it was literally up on the board outside my office for like 3 months until somebody erased it. Yeah, wow. That's my daughters will take care of me when I'm old and gray.
Yeah. The not the boys. No, not so much.
Not so much. Well, very cool. Well, always happy to be back. We've got a lot to cover. We got a good show, and I'm excited to get to it. So, what do you say,
Steve? Let's get to our favorite part of the podcast. What do you say?
Done and done.
I always have to let you know, many Bothans died to bring us this information.
Rest in peace, you Bothans.
All right, Rebel Intelligence. Hey, Steve, this week's Rebel Intelligence is brought to us by the Imperial Construction Crew. They say that they guarantee their work unless disgruntled rebellious factions blow it up. That they are not licensed and bonded for.
Which is so funny, because that dovetails perfectly into the first thing that I wanted to bring up. So I don't know if you've heard about this, but President Donald Trump, famous reality TV star, I don't know if you've heard about him. But anyway, he recently just signed into order the Space Policy Directive 1. Which basically lays the groundwork for NASA to get some federal funding and return to the moon.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting thing. My brother-in-law used to work for the space program. He used to work for NASA. He actually helped design the Mars rover battery, and lasts for 300 years, by the way.
Wow.
But what I thought was really funny about this, so a lot of people think, well, this is kind of a distracted employee. There's a lot of things going on. Of course, there's allegations coming towards the president. He's kind of trying to just, and he also wants to kind of shut down the comments about his kind of anti-science type of stance. So anyway, all of those things being as what they may, he says something in this article. It was either he or Pence that said that the push to go back out to space is, restoring America's presence in space and creating jobs. And then there was this one little line that said, and developing its space-based military capacity. And I just felt like this, like, dun, 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 dun. I'm like, this is how it all started. They're building the Death Star on the moon.
Well, let me tell you, I'm pretty sure that we have signed some sort of treaty that says we can't weaponize the moon. Just saying. And as a former kid who went to space camp and who grew up with a father who had telescopes and looked up into the stars, I love the space program. I love NASA.
Oh yeah.
And I'm all for sending Americans back to the moon. And because I'm guessing that this is probably some sort of like idea, like, help us like start preparing for like Mars, because I know like the mission to Mars idea has been something that's been talked about for a long time, and we're sending probes there and the rover and all this kind of stuff. So I'm imagining that that's maybe kind of like help, like this is going to be like ramping up towards that.
Bush, got us back to the moon, and Obama got us on an asteroid near Mars, and so yeah, I think it's probably maybe one step getting us closer to going to Mars and tooling about, but or it could just be a huge distraction. I don't know. So it could be just low-hanging fruit and an easy win for his administration when they are currently maybe not in the best public eye. So anyway,
could be,
or it could just be, intercontinental lunar nation building. I don't know.
Speaking of the public eye, the private investigator Jessica Jones is coming back to Netflix March 8th. So she's going to be back at it again with her alias investigating group, and she's going to be featured in the second season. It was really kind of cool. They showed a preview, and like the preview is just kind of good. Like it kind of makes me, interested in seeing the second season, especially after the big team up with the entire Defenders, like where she's going to kind of go. But the funniest thing is that like at the very like last moment or two of that trailer, she has this line where she's like, if you say with great power comes great responsibility, and you show her like smashing a glass on a bar and it, shatters. I just kind of like that because it was like, this little subtle nod to the fact that the Marvel Netflix stuff is happening not in an independent universe from the movies, but just we're not going to see a crossover between the movie characters, but there's still an acknowledgement that that's going on in there. And I kind of like that, plus she's kind of sassy and, kind of got an attitude. And so the fact that she's shunning the traditional, like, hey, I just did this big heroic thing, but yet I'm not a hero. Don't treat me like that. So
now, Spence, you obviously, were a fan and a watcher of the first season. You liked it, obviously. What was it about the show? Because I haven't watched it myself. What was the appeal?
Jessica Jones is a character that has like super strength, basically, and she's really strong and she can like jump like incredible distances, and she's basically. She's been mind controlled by the Purple Man, which we know is the character David Tennant, and he his name is Kilgrave, and he basically like had the mind controlled her to do things on his behalf for quite a long time. Mm-hmm. And she eventually, just prior to the series, had broken free of his control, and so she's trying to hunt him down and find him and stop him. Because like he could just like mind control people and be like, kill yourself. And the person would just take a gun and turn it on themselves and just like fire and kill themselves, like without even questioning it. And so she's trying to prevent him from doing this and harming other people, and all while also trying to like, she kind of gets a collection of people who, she's tried to help save or break from Kilgrave's influence. And so it's kind of like there's a psychological thriller kind of aspect to it. Yeah. But
she's still trying to work out her own demons and try to, it's personal, but also helping others along the way.
Yeah. And she's a functioning alcoholic, and she's trying to work through her demons. And she definitely tries to use alcohol as a way to like repress memories of what she's done and whatnot. And it was really interesting. It was a kind of a different take on kind of the traditional like Marvel feel of like the movies for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for the second season. Kristen Ritter plays the character really, really well. So I would highly recommend it if you've watched any of the Marvel stuff on Netflix. You'd probably want to see this. That's just my feeling.
Cool. Just one last thing. She's not any relation to John Ritter from Three's Company, is she?
I have no clue if she is or isn't.
Just checking. All right, so Spence probably wants to plug his ears for this next one, but I mentioned a little bit in the intro.
Hold on a second. I'm going to take my ears off. Go.
So reviews have come back for Star Wars The Last Jedi, and they are unbelievably gushing positive. I won't go into it too much, and I'll give Spence a thumbs up when I'm ready to have him back on. But basically, a lot of the critics have come back. A lot of the people that saw it during the kind of a Hollywood premiere, which was last night. One of the ones said, these gorgeous shots, stunning, emotional, funny, amazing battles. One critic said, when it gets going, holy crap, does it gets going. Hands out the best Star Wars since Empire. So I think we are in for a treat, the likes of which this galaxy hasn't seen in many a moon. So,
hey, am I good to put my headphones back on?
Oh, sorry. I'll give you the thumbs up. There you go. Sorry.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah. So,
hey, super friends,
I'm back. So it's gonna be a good time. So. I have not actually bought my tickets yet. I've been so busy trying to buy other things like Christmas presents. Dang it.
Steve.
Yeah.
Your Christmas present to yourself should have been tickets to go see The Last Jedi.
What kind of person do you think I am buying Christmas presents for myself?
The smart kind if you do it. the not smart kind if you don't.
I actually saw this thing I really wanted to get you for Christmas. and I'm not going to because I don't want Brita to get mad at me, but it was like this gray shower curtain. I don't know if you've seen this before, and it has Han Solo frozen in carbonite on it. It looks so dope. I was like, oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Do it.
Oh, yeah?
Do it. I won't even tell Brita. I'll just put it up.
She's like, yes, that's what I want to see when I'm undressing and then like some man with hands reaching out.
Frozen Han Solo.
Frozen in carbonite.
Baby, he's frozen in carbonite.
He can't hurt you.
He's got zipline sickness. He can't see. With time, your eyesight will return.
That doesn't sound like Brita at all. I'm just kidding.
No, that was supposed to be.
I
that
know.
was supposed to be Princess Leia. Okay,
know.
the thing. Okay. Steve, kind of an interesting news. This is kind of a topic with San Diego Comic-Con and Salt Lake Comic-Con. So, a few years back ago, right before Salt Lake Comic-Con did its first Comic-Con, Brian Brandenburg and Dan Farr drove down to San Diego, and they had this car, this like convertible, like totally wrapped with logos for Salt Lake Comic-Con. And they drove it all around San Diego, and they parked it right in front of like the entryway to San Diego Comic-Con. And San Diego Comic-Con didn't like that. They got really angry. They're like, people are going to be confused. Is this Salt Lake Comic-Con or San Diego Comic-Con? And so they actually put a lawsuit against them for willfully infringing their trademark and some other stuff. And they were asking for $12 million.
Wow.
In damages.
Is that in real money or Monopoly? That's real money?
Real money.
Wow.
So the interesting thing is, like, this court case has been kind of going back and forth for quite a while. And Salt Lake Comic-Con has been continuing to do their thing. And they're not the only Comic-Con. There's like 140 other cons around the country that use the term Comic-Con. And just this last week, a jury in San Diego ruled that Salt Lake Comic-Con did not willfully infringe, and they only awarded $20,000 in damages to San Diego Comic-Con, saying that they did infringe upon the trademark, but it wasn't willful, like it was unintentional. And they're saying that they do have Comic-Con trademarked. So technically San Diego wins, but they
really?
they won like less than, like, I don't know, 2% of what they were asking for, like a ridiculously low amount. Now, of course, the real question is San Diego Comic-Con going to enforce their ability to not let Salt Lake Comic-Con use the term, because Salt Lake has another Comic-Con scheduled for September of this upcoming year. And the real question is, are they going to enforce it just on Salt Lake or on all these others? The Salt Lake organizers have they're trying to get the trademark canceled through the Patent and Trademark Office, saying that Comic-Con's too generic of a term. San Diego wasn't the first one to use it. New York Comic-Con was the first one to use it, like years before. So like, it's still the kind of this, it's probably still going to go ongoing. There's probably going to be an appeal. It's just really interesting though to see kind of where this is going, because this is like nerd on nerd crime.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? You both have, successful events, and obviously San Diego Comic-Con is like the biggest, most well-known, and that's where a lot of, new movie trailers get released and all the news media goes there. But like Salt Lake Comic-Con is breaking like record attendance of like over like 130,000 people attending. I mean, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Here, and it's a big deal in the Intermountain West area. And there's Comic-Cons all over the place in Seattle and Denver and Texas, and pretty much every state has some sort of a con, or a few of them.
Yeah, and as I would think, as long as they are not on the same weekend or whatever, they're not the same week, that they're not like Salt Lake isn't cannibalizing San Diego's attendance, then I don't see the issue.
No.
I would think that you would want more fans, and you would want more. I mean, it seems analogous to like CrossFit. Like, yeah, there's a CrossFit like Libertyville, there's a CrossFit Chicago, CrossFit Naperville, but like Naperville's not going to be like, hey, you can't use the term CrossFit. I mean, that's very generic, just like
generic.
Comic-Con.
Yeah.
It's like Kleenex.
So we'll see what happens, but it is interesting. It is interesting that they wanted San Diego wanted $12 million in damages, and they got 20,000. To me that says like, we're gonna technically give you a win, but I mean,
yeah, that's like giving like a waitress like a 10-cent tip. Might as well just not giving it.
Right, exactly. So we'll have to see what goes on, but man, this is nerd on nerd crime. I mean, I wish the whole thing would just drop and they could, let it go and not be suing other cons around the country or whatever is going to happen. Because I mean, we all have a love for this. This isn't, no one's damaging anything, and I think the jury spoke on that. But I'm not a legal expert. I'm just a lover of nerd and pop culture.
So speaking of a lover of things, I know that you'd mentioned that you were a fan of the Justice League movie, which kind of went against much of the critic grain, so to speak.
I don't know if I'd say lover. I'd say maybe a flirter.
Mistress?
I was a flirter with the Justice League. I enjoyed it. I had a good time. But I mean, I don't know if I'm going to be calling it up every weekend looking for a booty call.
All right. Well, I appreciate that clarification, as do our listeners. So, booty call in the movie. Anyway, so there was some news that came out this week that basically kind of unveiled the curtain and showed forth the great Oz, that there has been some fallout based on the lukewarm response to the recent Justice League movie.
Really? So, do tell.
Yeah, there was an article in Variety that talked about that there's going to be some shakeup and some changes within the studio. They've talked about possibly kind of taking everything all under one banner. So in many other instances, sometimes there's kind of like been the superhero kind of arm of the studio, and they've said now that they're probably just going to pull it all under one roof, literally under one building, on I think the Warner Brothers lot, and try to get I guess get their arms around this thing. They said that they have no plans for director Zack Snyder to get behind the lens of any DCEU films anytime soon.
Wow.
Yeah. They also said that our favorite guy and yours, mine, all, Ben Affleck, will not be reprising his role as Batman, or I guess it's been called into question. And then,
really?
And then lastly, Jeff Johns, who's longtime kind of vision holder, comic writer that has kind of helped shape the current DCEU we know, might also be shifting roles. So,
I hear this, and first of all, I like Ben Affleck as Batman. I really do. Like, he plays kind of the type of Batman that they're portraying in the films pretty well. So I actually would be a little sad to see him go. I mean, I'm not going to really cry over it, but I mean, I'm enjoying it. I think there's got to be a shakeup. I'm kind of glad Zack Snyder's not going to get anywhere near any other DC movies, because his stuff has fallen way short.
Yeah.
And I don't think has been the right tone for what's needed.
Or what people want. Yeah.
Right. And so I'm okay with that. I think Jeff Johns, and I think we said this a little, maybe a few weeks ago. I think the problem over there is that it's too much a committee and less of a, let's let the creative people come up with stuff. And if there's any big problems, we'll correct that, but let's, kind of let them take a direction with that. It feels more like just too many people are involved, too many cooks in the kitchen, and, we're not coming up with anything that's really standing out to the fans, because it's trying to appeal to way too many people and hit too many things. And
yeah,
that's my feel.
So let me ask this. So in the way of just continuity of tone and of feel, how do you feel like both tone and just kind of the spirit of the movie and whatnot of Justice League compares with that of Wonder Woman? So
it's interesting, because Justice League definitely still has a dark feel to it at times, which is Zack Snyder all the way. But then they brought in Joss Whedon, and Joss Whedon put a lot of humor into it. And it's pretty widely known that he did a lot of reshoots and added a lot more humor into it. And the movie did have some really good, funny moments that kind of lightened things up.
Yeah.
But I'd feel like the tone between Wonder Woman, like that felt like it had a tighter script.
Yeah.
Like the story made more sense narratively, and so it had more comprehensive plan to it, where this was more like we have some ideas and we have all these kind of pieces and we're kind of trying to jam them together, and some of the characters, the backstory just didn't feel good enough. It wasn't fleshed out enough. There needed to be solo movies to kind of get to that point, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it's a little different, but I mean, for Justice League's flaws, I think the critics were extremely harsh on it. I did enjoy it. There was a lot of moments where I really was like, yeah, this is cool. This is all right. And then there's other times I'm like, the pacing's really slow now, and the writing's kind of off, and the CG mustache fiasco was obvious at times. And so, like I said, I enjoyed the movie. It definitely was better than Batman v Superman, and definitely better than Suicide Squad, but it's not as good as Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see what this major kind of rethink that's happening at Warner Brothers, how it all shakes out, and if we get some new direction, some new vision, and kind of a new tone to the movies going forward.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we'll have to see. So, Steve, speaking of kind of, new directions, Star Wars is coming out, right? But now we're talking a new Star Trek movie is kind of gearing up. J.J. Abrams obviously directed the Star Trek reboot, and then there was Star Trek Into Darkness, and then Star Trek Beyond. So now you're gonna think this is weird, but Quentin Tarantino has pitched a Star Trek movie, and apparently, they're giving some credence to this. But if he gets his way, and if he's made the director of the upcoming Star Trek movie, it's going to be R-rated. He wants to do the first R-rated Star Trek movie, and he's got a vision of what he wants. And like J.J. Abrams is allegedly trying to get together writers to like help Quentin Tarantino kind of like bring something to life and see if it could go. Now, this sounds like it's like really, really early stages. Like this could totally fall apart. This may never happen. But I've seen a number of Quentin Tarantino's movies.
Right.
And he has a very distinctive style. Like he always interjects a lot of like pop culture music. Like his soundtracks are like so meticulously picked for his movies. Like I don't see that working in Star Trek. It's not, this is in outer space. It's, hundreds of years into the future. It's not, obviously there was some of that in the reboots. I can think of, the Beastie Boys, Sabotage being in the first Star Trek movie reboot. But like, I can't see that. Plus, he's extremely violent typically, and uses a ton of language, really just hard language in his movies. And the thing is, like, Gene Roddenberry had an idea, and that idea and his ideal was like this kind of like utopia of the Federation in outer space, and trying to kind of go and, be on a scientific mission and, learn and grow from other people, and to not interfere, the Prime Directive and all this. And like,
it flies in the face of that, it seems like.
Right. And maybe that's a little too pie in the sky, too 1960s, optimism of a utopia kind of vision for today's day and age. But like, I don't know that I want to see a Quentin Tarantino version of Star Trek. I love Star Trek, but I don't need to see Samuel L. Jackson popping up in a Star Trek movie.
He's already in Star Wars.
Capping fools because, they took the wrong wormhole and they lost a warp nacelle. I just, I don't know.
I don't know what they're going to call a Royale with cheese in the future.
It's going to call a replicated Royale with cheese.
Holodeck, please produce for me a royal cheeseburger with dairy subsidies. Very interesting. Well, it seems to fly in the face. I don't think that they just don't seem to jive.
It doesn't seem to be. Here's one last little wrinkle though in this story. Sir Patrick Stewart, who famously played Captain Jean-Luc Picard. Jean-Luc has said that if Quentin Tarantino were to direct, he would be on board to play in the role of Picard again.
Really?
I don't know what that means. And I know like the inner Star Trek fan inside of me is like, Picard, I want Picard. But it's like, but do I really want to see Picard be like, mother, beep, 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 beep. I don't know if I want that.
I don't know what to think of it. What's the world coming to? What is the world coming to?
Anyway, that's the last thing I had on Rebel Intelligence. What about you? Anything else?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. Well, let's move forward. Steve?
Yes.
Every week, we ask our super friends to help us out. We're looking for more super friends. How can our current super friends help us find more super friends?
They can rate us on iTunes so the Fortress of Nerditude continue to use that name and not be sued by the makers of Superman for knockoff of the Fortress of Solitude. We've already gotten notice and we have to shut down. I'm sorry. So, Spence, it's been fun.
Jor-El! You! And one day, your ass!
Oh, yeah. So anyway, rate us, guys. Rate us, get us out there, and Spence will make you more cookies while I suffer from the Black Plague, tuberculosis.
Nope.
What?
No, I won't.
He'll make you pizza.
Oh, great. Now I'm going to make deep dish pizza? Yeah.
Oh.
Last week, we were talking about the Avengers Infinity War trailer, and we had Caleb Alders on, and we asked our super friends what was the standout moment of the trailer to them, and we got some responses. And so I'm going to go first over to Peter Christensen on the old email, which is fortofnerd@gmail.com. He says, Dear nerds, sorry I missed last week Thanksgiving duties. I'm another protector of Thanksgiving that keeps the jingling elven hordes at bay until Black Friday. He says, for last week's poll, my favorite Marvel characters are the recurring characters in the Netflix television series, Karen Page, Turk the Smuggler, who also plays one of Hopper's officers in Stranger Things, Claire Temple, Sergeant Mahoney. They make those shows, which are more realistic than the movies anyway. They seem grounded in a real world. They're perfect icing on a delicious cake. I agree with him. Like, the Marvel Netflix stuff does have a grounded feel. And I personally really, really like Karen Page. I really do.
Well, and I personally really like cake with icing.
That's true. He says, thoughts on Infinity War. He says, regarding the tragic images, he says, he remembers the trailer for Age of Ultron, which prominently featured Tony Stark's Scarlet Witch dream, where everyone died and Cap's shield was broken. He says, so take tragic images with a grain of salt, which is kind of what we talked about. Like, what we were trying to figure, is this a red herring? And so that's a good reminder, Peter. He says, regarding Vision, I think Paul Bettany decided he wanted Vision to have skin because the makeup was too bothersome, like Jennifer Lawrence did in X-Men Apocalypse. Also, I read that the MCU relationship between Vision and the Scarlet Witch as two lonely outsiders finding comfort in a kindred spirit. I kind of like that, because we were talking about, like, if the romance is too rushed. And
Peter has a way with words and with love.
And you know about the latter and not the first. Anyway, he says, hope unanswered question. He says, I desperately want a hilarious scene with Drax, Mantis, and Tony Stark where she exposes his feelings. He says, thanks for another great show, and on to year 2, Peter.
Here we go.
Thank you, Peter.
Always well thought out. I love Peter's responses.
I really, really appreciate that. Let's go over to the old Twitters, shall we?
I would like, by the way, just to say that I would love some Seattle sweets, a little bit of Peter's Preserves for our year 2, maybe a little celebratory jam. Just a little plug.
Yeah. By the way, this podcast is not sponsored by Seattle Sweets. He has yet to send us a paycheck. But when it happens, we will plug it every single week. I promise.
Yeah, man.
He's going to send us like a check for like $1. And I'm going to be tied into this thing.
That's right.
Okay. Twitter. Paul Calico at pcalico84 says the thing that stood out to him was the Thanos Iron Man punch, which we talked about, where Iron Man gets decked out. Brett T. Bodden at Hop Tongar says, Guardians of the Galaxy meeting Thor. My two favorite MCU collide. I'm a space junkie. My favorite genre is science fiction, especially when the setting is space, which is why I love Guardians and Thor so much.
Very cool.
Thank you, Brett. I agree. That was definitely a standout moment. Steve?
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, I actually asked for questions from our listeners, from our super friends, and I totally forgot to read them, so I'm going to toss those in here this week as well.
Oh, it's like a salad, man. Toss that junk in.
Let's get this thing all beefed up and roided up, and let's just Hulk out.
I love me some croutons.
So, Scrooge's Prize at Trash Turkey says, why don't we drink eggnog year-round? Steve, why don't we drink eggnog year-round?
Because it is so delicious that we would all be suffering from high cholesterol and probably have heart attacks around July.
I say it's because that junk is nasty.
Hey, no!
And I'm not on board.
Man, you gotta drink the Kool-Aid, man. Just drink it.
I'll drink Kool-Aid, but I won't drink that junk. Okay, so Bah Humbug Surge at backlog_blues says, when your kids push you to the brink of madness, what do you do to come back down?
Oh, that is a great question. I usually jump on a podcast and just let all of my feelings, out into the world, the digital world. This is my release.
For me, it's I have to like step away, like, because I realize inherently, like, my kids are young, 3.5, and Charlie's getting ready to turn 5. So like when my kids like push me to the edge of madness and like I'm really frustrated, I realize that they're really, really, really small kids. They're really young boys, and that a lot of that's just, energy that little boys have. And so I realize I have to be the one to kind of control myself and my own feelings. So like I just walk away and go to another part of the house, and I tell my wife, I'm like, you know what, the kids are driving me nuts right now. I just need a couple minutes. I need to relax. I'm too stressed out, whatever. And I will go into the other part of the house and just, get a little peace and quiet. And if that means I have to go into the bathroom, or if I have to go down to the basement, wherever it is, just need a little peace and quiet. Now that's during the wintertime. During the summertime, I'm like, honey, I'm stressing. I just need to get on my motorcycle. I need a little 2-wheel therapy. And even if it's just I go around the block 3 or 4 times on my motorcycle and then pull it right back into the garage, that usually does the trick for me too.
So that's nice, man.
A little bit of a break.
Yeah, I'll try to get the kids, the reverse. I'm like, this is my house. You guys go to your room. No, my kids, they're big readers, so I'm just like, go to your room, read a chapter in any book that you'd like. Hopefully it's the Bible, and it's in like, Genesis when they're really long. And then, anyway, but...
Jesus wept! Thoughts. That was fast, Daddy, I'm done!
Now Daddy wept.
Right. We have an email from our good friend, Emily Bullock. She says...
I know her.
I know, I've heard of her.
You don't know her.
I don't know her? Dang it.
No.
I thought I knew her. Someone will have to tell me who she is. She says, hi, I hope you're both doing well. Just a little PSA. If anyone is looking for a Switch for Christmas, some Office Depots are selling GameStop gift cards, $100 worth for $80. So you could get a Switch for $240. The sale lasts until December 9th, but I haven't been able to find any in stock yet. Obviously, it's December 12th when we're recording this.
Always one step ahead.
But I like that she was looking out for us and wanting to give us the scoop on Nintendo Switch. And I hope that people are going out and buying Nintendo Switches. I just saw a news article the other day that like the Nintendo Switch has reached over 10 million units sold already. Wow. And like it just released in like March of this year, so that's a pretty impressive number.
Do you know at all how that compares with say other such?
I think it's ahead. I definitely know that's ahead of schedule for the Xbox One, and I'm pretty sure it's ahead of schedule for the PS4 as well.
Really?
Yeah. Now, of course, those released a few years ago. So it'll remain to be seen, but I won't be surprised if the Nintendo Switch is the best-selling console for Nintendo of all time. I really won't.
That is awesome.
So, thank you, Emily. We really appreciate your email.
Love ya.
Going back in time a little, Steve. Paul Calicote at pcalico84, going through the backlog. He says, episode number 14, favorite Batman villain. Not going to say Joker, but animated series is my favorite. But I'll have to say Clayface and definitely Scarecrow in the animated series. Then he says episode 15, favorite arcade game that I miss. So, of course, TMNT Arcade is the bomb, but there was a shooter I believed was called Aerosmith Revolution, starring Aerosmith against some faction that wanted to end music. My dad and I would play that all night at diversions. Do you remember that game? Aerosmith Revolution?
No.
I always remember seeing it and like hearing the Aerosmith music, and I thought it was cool, but I don't ever remember playing it. I remember maybe I'm wrong, but like
you saw this in the arcade. You're saying?
Yeah, but like instead of a gun, you had like a guitar, and like when you'd strum it, like it would shoot records. Maybe I'm thinking of it wrong, and that's something else. But that seems to trigger a memory.
That sounds awesome. Actually, I want to play that now.
Okay, going back here a little bit more with the old backlog. Paul Calicote at pcalico84. He says episode 16. What color would your lightsaber be and why? I asked my wife. Hers would be 2 sabers with curved connecting hilts with fluctuating dark purple and crimson blades. Mine would be a single saber that can double in length with an emerald green blade because I'm way into the Force. I kind of like that alternating color, double curved. That kind of sounds
have like a
cool.
disco thing going on. Travolta would have loved that.
Yeah. He says, hey guys, in the light of Star Wars on the horizon, which is going to be the day the podcast drops, my wife given me such an in-depth answer to her lightsaber color. I have a question for y'all. What style of lightsaber hilt would you carry? And would you go double-sided dual wielding? Because we did answer what color the blade would be, but what style would be your hilt of the blade, Steve?
So I would say I love Kylo Ren's kind of like hilt style sword. It almost has kind of like an old school sword feel. So that would probably be mine, though I would fear like lopping off my own like wrist with that. I don't know how that would work. But anyway, I just like the look of it. I think it'd be sweet.
Nice.
What about you?
I want to go with a power glove with the lightsaber extending from the end. No, I'm just teasing.
From the fingers? Half Wolverine, half power glove?
Kind of like a really weird Edward Scissorhands.
Never need sharpening.
You know, if I was going to do a sword, I kind of like the hilt. You remember the hilt from the Highlander? It was kind of like that kind of like white ivory look, but it was kind of like the hilt. It kind of looked like a dragon head.
Yes, I do.
Maybe like that kind of a hilt, like the sword from the Highlander. Like that would be kind of a cool hilt because it would be something different because it's all like a very mechanical look in Star Wars, and so something a little more, of the earth, like a little more natural look, except a dragon head. So
I retract my statement. I would like to use the Sword of Omens from Thundercats hilt.
Come on,
so that I can have sight beyond sight and hopefully not singe my eyebrows on the saber blade. Sight beyond sight. Ah! There goes the unibrow.
That's too funny. I like that. Okay, one last one. Paul Calicote at pcalico84, episode number 17. What is your creative outlet? He said, well, I made custom chucks for my Mickey. I love zoning out and putting Legos together. I made the wedding day cake topper for my wedding out of Legos. Support and occasionally guest host of the Optimus Prime podcast. I gotta say, that's a pretty creative outlet to love Legos that much and just kind of put them together that your wife actually let you use a Lego cake topper you made.
Yeah, and how did people react to that at your wedding? Did anybody accidentally cut into it and chomp on some hard plastic squares? That would be bad.
Yeah, that would be a...
Old Aunt Martha, she's blind, didn't know! Tastes like chicken!
I hope it's like, I don't know, like they were like Batman Legos or something on the top of it, something different, not a a traditional.
Not just like the primary colors.
Right. That's what.
Did he also say that he made chucks for his
Mickey?
Mickey.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like nunchucks for?
I was thinking more like maybe like Chuck Taylors, maybe.
Oh, Chuck
Taylors for his Mickey Mouse doll. I'm not sure.
Or is that like an Australian Mickey, like a small kangaroo? No, that's a Joey.
That's Joey. Yeah. Or maybe like, hey Mickey, you're so fine. You blow my mind. Hey Mickey.
Could be.
It's probably that one.
It's probably the last one.
I think so. Like we can make it whatever we want it to be because I was a little unsure and you were unsure.
I just like to clap in podcasts.
Hey Mickey, you're so fine. You wear my chucks. Hey Mickey. I don't know. Anyway, we're gonna have to. We're gonna. Yeah. We're now gonna have to pay a royalty.
Right. We're getting
Tony,
all over the place.
Tony, whatever her name was.
Braxton?
No, not Braxton. Don't chain my heart. Say you'll love me forever. That's Tony Braxton.
I hate that song so much.
It's such a 90s song. Like every time I hear that, I'm like,
it's like
Tony
a man's voice. Oh gosh, we digress. I never thought Tony Braxton would come up in our ever be mentioned in one of our shows. Unchain my heart, say you love me again.
All right. Anyway,
I'm crying
thank you,
over here.
Super Friends, so much for your answers, for your questions. We love interacting with you. It's one of our favorite parts of the show.
Amen.
Now, Steve, I want to go. I want to do something else, man, because I want to keep this train rolling. We haven't read some of our iTunes reviews in a while, and we got a couple new ones, and so I thought that would be fun.
No cookies. What?
No cookies. Albers C96 says, this podcast, right? This podcast is one that actually got me into listening to podcasts. I look forward to every Thursday morning when I get to listen to these two talk about a lot of the stuff that I'm interested in, even though they prefer Pepsi over Coke. No episode is ever boring, and the pace is really solid. If I had to make one gripe for the show, it's that a couple impressions need a little work. But other than that, this is a fantastic family-friendly show that I recommend to everyone. I think he's talking about your Yoda, Steve.
Yeah, I don't think he is.
Okay.
He's talking about your Bill Clinton, or maybe your... No.
Maybe my Christopher Walken. I admit my Christopher Walken needs a little bit of work.
Yeesh.
But my General Zod is right on.
Yeah, your Christopher Walken can keep walking. Mr. Albers, thank you so much for the review, and appreciate the nod.
Yes. Okay, one last one by Spotson McPofferson. Says, this show is fun, well-structured, and engaging. You don't need to be a super nerd to enjoy the show. It's really for everybody. If you like movies, music, video games, or hilarious anecdotes, you should definitely tune in. The hosts work well together and take you in as they reminisce about old favorites, get psyched for today's hits, and let you in on the latest rumors for future projects in the Rebel Intelligence segment. Listener participation is encouraged each week with questions on social media, where they read and comment on your answers. I especially like the movie club episodes, where the hosts discuss one movie in detail. Overall, a great weekly listening experience. Wow.
Nice, man.
Wow. That is a great review. Thank you so
Send
much.
that man some cookies. Or woman.
Spotson McPofferson. I don't know if that's a man or a woman, but thank you so much. You did a great job. That was awesome.
That was awesome. Sorry. I don't know.
Back to the Tony Braxton. Unchain my heart.
Very cool. That was awesome. Thank you so much for reaching out. Thank you for taking the time, man. Taking the time to, there are so many times when I'm going to make a comment on like Amazon or whatever, or make a little, and it's like, enter in your, log in. I'm like, it's too much work, but like they really do help. Cause I'm telling you, like buying Christmas gifts, I use people's reviews like to obsession. And like, I'm like, well, Kara, what about this one? This one says this. I mean, it's gotten almost to, paralysis. But anyway, so thank you for taking the time to review our podcast.
If you like reviews and you like reading them, Steve, go on Amazon and search for sugarless gummy bears and read the reviews. Oh my gosh, it is the funniest thing you can do. Like I literally had to go to the
sugarless
bathroom.
Gummy bears?
Sugarless gummy bears. I literally had to go to the bathroom. I was peeing my pants. I was laughing so hard at some of these reviews.
Is that like a thing? Is it like kind of like a off menu thing to like review that and make it funny or something? Or is it literal like
I'm just saying
these are literal reviews?
Yes, they're literal reviews. You and our super friends go onto Amazon and look up the sugarless gummy bears and just read the reviews. It is so worth your time. I have not laughed so hard ever reading reviews in my life.
One of the most well-reviewed products on Amazon is actually Crimes Against Humanity, which I've never played, and I know it has some dirty stuff, and it's a card game. It's
Cards Against Humanity.
Cards. It has like 20,000 reviews, and some of those are freaking hilarious as well. But anyway, so yes. So for those that review our podcast or review anything on the internet, it's people like me that need people like you to make decisions because I used to think I was indecisive, but now I'm not sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. How long have you been holding on to that one?
How long have we been running the podcast for?
Over 40, a year.
40. Oh, yeah. I was thinking just tonight, but yes.
Oh, that's too
very
funny.
Cool. Very cool.
Let me ask you a question. So,
Go.
Have you seen any of the new big trailers? Like, we're kind of into that season now where, like, obviously Avengers Infinity War, and, like, right. I've watched that thing way too many times, and it's got, gosh, like, it was like 200 and almost like 50 million views total, like in its first 24 hours. Just crazy amounts. But there's been some other big movies that have released trailers. Have you seen any of those this week?
I have. I've seen a few, and I was actually blown away by, not blown away, but it was exciting. What was the one? It was Jurassic Park Forgotten
Fallen World, the new one. Yeah.
Fallen Kingdom. I'm sorry, Fallen Kingdom.
Oh yeah, Fallen Kingdom. Sorry, yeah.
And I feel like the Jurassic series, the franchise is kind of like it was great. It took a little bit of a dip, but now it's back. And Chris Pratt is in it.
Jessica
Chastain.
Chastain.
No, isn't it Brendan Howard's Howard's daughter?
Yeah, not Jessica Chastain.
Yeah.
No, it's Bryce Dallas Howard.
Bryce Dallas Howard. She is awesome. I just think she's...
I'm giving you my Dustin from Stranger Things.
He's no respecter of persons. I mean, I literally could say like Barb from Stranger Things. Wait.
Wah wah.
Is that like a Price is Right thing?
That is that, and like every time we play Mario, Super Mario Odyssey, like Charlie's like, "Daddy, when you die, I'm gonna say wah wah," and he does that every single time. It's funny, but at the same time, like if I'm doing a challenging puzzle, I'm like, "Stop it!" He's like, "Daddy, I gotta do it. You just died." Wah wah. I'm like, I gotta go for a motorcycle ride.
Exactly. Thank goodness I got the Switch. I can do it while I'm riding.
Okay, Bryce Dallas Howard. Sorry, and we're back.
Anyway, so it looks pretty good, and Jeff Goldblum is in it, which obviously he just made his appearance in Thor Ragnarok. So I'm looking forward to it. Honestly, like I'm back in. I'm back on the train.
Can I be real with you for a second?
Nope.
Too bad. So here's the thing. Like I really loved Jurassic World. I thought that was a really fun movie, and it had the feel of the first movie of Jurassic Park without being like a total like reboot, because it's kind of like continuing on the story, like, hey, we decided to redo the science, and keep things going because we didn't learn our lesson the first time, and we're going to try to make money.
Yeah.
The plot of this next movie looks like, hey, the island's going to blow up, so we're going to go rescue the dinosaurs. That seems, I don't know, that just seems...
I'm in.
I'm in. I mean, visually it looks amazing. And I think we all want to see, the T-Rexes and the Velociraptors. But the story just seems to me like really... I don't know, like really thin. Maybe it appeals to people that are like animal lovers, because I'm not, because I'm allergic to animals. I'm like, let them dinosaurs die. Just let that island implode on itself.
You think like Peta is like, they're saving dinosaurs. We should really support this one.
Well, I'm not saying Peta's going to be supporting that, but I'm saying like the idea, like they're trying to appeal to like if you're an animal lover and you love a dog or a cat that's a pet, you're going to understand why Chris Pratt's character is going to go back and
T-Rex.
say Blue, because he raised that velociraptor.
I think this is really just like it's analogous to Stranger Things and Dart. He's like, in the end, that relationship with Blue is going to save the whole day. That's my prophecy right there. My prediction.
Of course, because that's easy, foreseeable script writing.
Wah, wah.
Right. I don't know. I looked at this and I was like, it had some cool moments, that like mini T-Rex with like the devil horns. I was like, that's kind of cool looking. And then the T-Rex like chomps it. I'm like, ooh. Once again, like, I think visually, I think it's going to be a lot of action. I think it's going to be really funny, too, because I like the line Chris Pratt has right in the beginning. He's like, so, you come to see me, what are you dating now? A dental hygienist? You dating a ventriloquist? You always did like a good dummy. You know, like, I think it's going to be funny, and I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be good. The idea of going back to save the dinosaurs, I was just, Plus, I read.
How dare you speak against Star-Lord? How dare you?
I've crossed the line. Oh, Chris Pratt, I'm sorry. Oh no, please.
Oh no. I knew it. It's too close to Christmas, man.
My Hans Gruber pretending to be American.
Your impression of somebody else's impression. It's fantastic.
Oh no, please, you're one of them. Oh.
That's like an Inception impression, because it's you impersonating Hans Gruber, impersonating an American, but it's really what's the actor's name?
Alan Rickman.
There's like 4 people. That's like a pretty deep impression right there.
How about that? Inception.
Yeah.
Inception.
Inception.
Inception. I formally do declare inception.
Me fail English? That's impossible.
Right. I don't know.
Okay.
Let me get back to my point, though. I do want to make. In the first Jurassic Park book, there's the notion that they developed the dinosaurs that were missing lysine, which was like this key ingredient, and they had to put it in the food to feed the dinosaurs. If they didn't, after like...
They would die.
Yeah, they would die. And at the end of the book, you realize that a bunch of dinosaurs, like velociraptors and some of the other smaller dinosaurs for sure, actually, like, there was these reports, like, down in the Costa Rican jungle that, like, people were being eaten and killed by these, beasts, and that these certain fields with plants were being decimated, and these plants were high in lysine. And then, of course, Jeff Goldblum's character's like, life finds a way. Basically, like, Michael Crichton wrote this in the book, like, they get off the island, and they found a way to sustain themselves. I really would like to see something that follows more along that, because that puts it like, I don't know, it puts the human in danger element, which for me, I think is more relatable than like, hey, a bunch of extinct animals that we bioengineered back to life are now going to go extinct again, and we have to stop this. It's like,
that's true.
They went extinct for a reason. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Jeff Goldblum he has a voiceover scene where I think he's like testifying before Congress, and he says kind of the same thing, like, life finds a way.
Yeah, it's his one line he's going to beat to a dead horse. And then
he takes the drop of water and puts it on some girl's arm, and it goes running one way to the back, and classic
Unbreak my heart. They need to play that at that scene with the water drop on the back of the girl's hand. I don't know why.
Laura Dern.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
No tiger growl for that? No?
No.
Suddenly you're so choosy now.
Bryce
choosy,
Dallas Howard.
Brrr,
Laura Dern.
Meh.
Jennifer Connelly. Brrr. I don't know.
You even got an eyebrow lift on that one. Nice. All right, so what was have you seen some other trailers, I guess, recently you wanted to...
Now, the one I am really hyped up about, the Ready Player One, this movie that's based on the book.
Oh, yeah.
We saw a poster of it a couple months back. they released a trailer for this thing. It looks so good. Now, obviously, I've got a little bit of nitpicky stuff because I've read the book.
And some bias because you're a huge fan. But yes,
right. But man, that trailer, it looks good. It looks like a lot of action. It definitely has a lot of the 80s nostalgia feel, which is what it's supposed to have because it's kind of based in this online reality world where the creator of the reality, James Halliday, was a huge fan of the 80s movies, music, TV, everything. And so it had that feel. And of course, Steven Spielberg doing this movie, like that just lends a lot of that kind of credence and feel of authenticity to that.
Yeah. One thing I did see this trailer, and I have to admit, the first time we watched the trailer, the first trailer we watched, I wasn't very impressed. I was kind of like, I feel like they're just kind of shoving some stuff, the Iron Giant and the DeLorean and some other things just kind of felt very forced. And this one, I mean, maybe I got a better sense of the story, and maybe you can enlighten me and educate me. But when the character goes into the oasis, is he going into like a communal oasis where everybody goes into the same one, or is it like his own little version of his own thing with his own VR goggles? That's it.
So it's a communal online community. Communal online community? It's an online community. So basically, like, everyone in the world gets, jacks into the oasis, basically, and they're in there together. Now, he's a student, and so he's stuck on a planet in the books. So I had to tell you, this is all from books. He's stuck on a planet at the beginning, where basically students can go to school in the oasis, because students can still go to school in the real world, but you can get a voucher to go to the oasis because James Halliday, the creator, wanted kids to have the opportunity to go there and get a better education and whatnot. But everyone can interact with anyone. Now, of course, in order to do that, you have to have credits in the game, a currency, so you can get off-world, whether that's by a transport or you purchase your own ship or
like
whatnot.
Bitcoin.
Like Bitcoin, like some sort of currency.
Sure.
In order to travel around, which is similar to any video game. Like if you play video games, where you can move around, it's like you have to acquire some mode of transportation. So, he's a student, and James Halliday dies. And James Halliday, the creator of the Oasis, leaves basically his entire fortune and control of the Oasis to whoever finds this Easter egg that he's planted inside the Oasis. And it's basically a big treasure hunt. And that's what the book is about. That's what the movie's obviously about. But it's really kind of cool because it is all set in kind of this retro 80s feel. And so for people like us, all those things are very, very strong in our memories because we grew up during that time. We were kids during that era. So we're going to know a lot of the references.
I actually noticed in this trailer when they had the race scene and they're kind of flying over, before the race actually starts, I saw a clip of the old original Batmobile. It was for like a split second, and I saw the two hood cowls. I'm like, dude, it's the old Batmobile.
Yep.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of stuff. There was obviously the DeLorean he drives around. You can see that in the trailer. There's all sorts of like little shout outs that, like you said, the Iron Giant you see. There's a bunch of stuff. It'll be, for me, it's going to be really interesting to see how this movie does. I hope it does really, really well because I loved that book. And so I'm looking forward to the movie. After the teaser trailer, I had some more questions. I feel a lot better about this movie after seeing the full trailer that just got released, to be honest. Yeah. I'm kind of like you. There was some stuff I was like, that wasn't in the book. But then, I'm okay. You need to make some adaptations to a book in order to make it into a movie.
Of course.
I hope though, so there's some relationships in the book between Wade Watts, the main character, and some of his friends or people that become his friends. And I haven't seen much of that in the trailer. Like I haven't seen much of H or Daito or Shoto. And I'm hoping that the relationship and the script is really good. And like you get a sense of kind of this camaraderie that exists because it's there in the book and it's really good and it really helps drive the story. And so I hope that's there in the movie. But this is a typical end of the year trailer. They want you to get hyped for an upcoming movie, and they want to show big impressive set pieces and things like that.
Yeah, I think it's just cool to see a Spielberg. You haven't seen a lot of Spielberg movies as of late, and I think it's just very familiar to see. It's like watching a John Hughes film. I'm just like, I'm home.
Yeah, you know what to expect.
Yeah, it just has a good feel, visually pleasing. So, anyway, very cool. There's a lot of good things coming out, a lot of good movies, some great TV shows, and looking forward to consuming them all.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff coming up. Steve, do you find yourself watching more TV and movies like over the Christmas holidays? Because I tend to feel like we do in our house. Like just the other night we watched White Christmas. We're kind of getting into that era where we start like watching Christmas movies, more like we start kind of peppering them around in the evenings. Like we'll say, hey, let's just turn on Netflix, or let's turn on, put in one of our DVDs and, toss on a Christmas movie and just try to fill the house with Christmas. Do you guys do that more? Do you find yourself doing that?
Yeah, no, we definitely, filling the house with Christmas. There's Christmas cookies of bacon. There's, every night we'll read a Christmas book. And so what Carrie does is she goes to the library and then she gets all these Christmas books. She wraps them as presents and then she puts them under a tree. And every night a different child gets to pick a book, unwrap it, and then we read it as a family.
That's a cool idea.
So, yeah, what was funny is the other night Carter picked one up and I'm like, wait, Home Alone Christmas? And it's almost like the Die Hard book that we talked about Christmas ago. But it's the Home Alone version, and I'm like, oh my gosh, kids, you got to watch this movie. This is a great Christmas movie, and it really is when you think about it. Like Home Alone is a great Christmas movie, and it's also a lot of fun. And so we read it, and of course he talks about like in the book, it shows him having this plan drawn with crayons and the paint cans and the bulbs, under the windows and the tar on the stairs. And my older son was like, does he really do this in the movie? I'm like, yeah, it's awesome. He's like, I want to watch this movie so bad, Dad.
Can I blow your mind for just 1 second here?
Yeah.
Home Alone is Die Hard for kids. Boom. Think about it for a second.
Oh no!
I'm dead serious. Home Alone is the Christmas Christmas movie like Die Hard is, but it's the Die Hard for kids.
Yeah, that's I can go with that a little bit, And so the neighbor, old man Marley, who everybody's scared of, is almost like Carl Winslow,
the Shovel Slayer.
The shovel, exactly. Manhandles people with the shovel. Yeah. So anyway, they're very excited to see that. In the way of movie and TV consumption, I would say, yeah. I mean, we don't do it at night. Usually we try to get our kids to bed fairly quickly because we get up at like 6:00 every morning and read scriptures. But yeah, and on the weekends, like we watched White Christmas last year, and my kids, I thought they would be like bored to tears with it. They loved it.
It's a good movie.
Yeah, they loved it. So they keep my daughters keep singing sisters. Da, 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 da. Addison's like, stop it. So anyway,
that's my wife's favorite Christmas movie.
Is it?
Yep.
It's a good movie. It's funny though because I actually, to be perfectly honest, I had never actually seen it all the way through. I thought it was like all about Christmas, but it's really not. I mean, it is kind of, but like a lot of the movie is not about Christmas at all. It's about like war and then, these showgirls and they meet up and then they go to this resort and then they have this Christmas pageant at the end. I'm like, it's very little about Christmas actually.
Right. Yeah. It surprisingly, I kind of feel the same way about it. It's like, it's a little Christmas light, although they do sing the song White Christmas twice in the film and it is named White Christmas.
They do.
It's definitely, definitely a Christmas movie. We watch, we watch more. I mean, obviously, and then we always try like around Christmas itself because like we have time off. We try to take the entire family out to go see a movie, and I feel like going to see a movie on Christmas Day or like the day after, or on Thanksgiving Day or the day after, kind of has become a real big thing for a lot of families. Obviously, it's going to be Star Wars: The Last Jedi. I'm sure when the whole family gets together when we're up in Montana. But there was something else that was coming out around Christmas that my wife wants to go see. I can't remember what it was. Like, we were watching some preview. She's like, this. And I think it had Hugh Jackman in it. She's like, we got to go see this. This looks awesome. And I'm like, I'm going to go see The Last Jedi again. I don't even, I just know that. But that's what I'm looking forward to, Super Friends, when this podcast drops. That's like the day The Last Jedi comes out. Go see The Last Jedi. We're going to talk about it. We're going to do a movie club on The Last Jedi, but we're going to wait. We're going to do it probably a couple weeks after the movie's been out to give you and yours a chance to have watched the movie before we talk about it. And then, of course, we won't do spoilers until the end like we always do. But Steve, we're going to have a guest join us for this episode coming up.
Do tell.
So my good friend Gabe Patillo, one of the co-hosts of Married to the Games, massive
awesome.
Star Wars fan. I've been talking to him, and he is on board, wants to come on the show, wants to talk about The Last Jedi.
That is going to be awesome.
So
fantastic.
Look forward to that coming up. You know what? I want to hear from some of our super friends. What is something you look forward to doing every Christmas season? In our house, it's Christmas movies. Like, that's the big thing we look forward to doing. Steve, in your house, it sounds like the reading of the Christmas books is something you guys look forward to doing.
Yes, and there's one series actually that my wife grew up with called The Cinnamon Bear. It's like an old school like radio show from the 30s, and it goes on like, I don't know, 50 episodes. But we usually start at like day one of December and like listen to it in the car and stuff. The kids love it,
right?
But it's very like 30s-esque radio. It's pretty good.
Yeah, see, we got those cinnamon bears trapped. See. Like that?
Actually, yeah, a lot like that.
Awesome.
Oddly.
Awesome.
Add to your repertoire of impressions, my friend.
Yeah, 1930s gangster, yeah. That's very much like a Dick Tracy sounding like character.
Yeah.
And anyway,
Mumbles or something.
Yeah. What was that, Mumbles? Water. Anyway, do you remember that horrible Dick Tracy movie?
Yeah. Oh my
with
gosh.
Madonna as Breathless Mahoney. I don't know why I remember that Breathless Mahoney, but anyway.
Oh heck yeah!
Anyway,
you were 14, and
yeah, I
she
was 14.
Madonna.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, sidetrack. Super Friends. Let us know, what do you look forward to in the Christmas holiday season? Like, what's that thing that your family does or that you have to do? I know I always do say this, like, if I don't see Hans Gruber fall from the top of the Nakatomi Plaza, like, it's not Christmas to me.
No, it's not Christmas. That's right.
It's not Christmas. It's Christmas movies, and that is the number one in my household. Followed very, very, very closely by National Lampoon.
Love National Lampoon. Man.
Anyway, Super Friends, that is your task. That is your chore. That is your question for this upcoming week. Let us know. You can always reach us, long form answer, which is email at forwardofnerd@gmail.com, or on Twitter at forwardofnerd, or Facebook, which is facebook.com/forwardofnerd, or our special phone number, 801-477-7687.
Oh, yeah. Super Friends, thank you so much for being with us this fine, I guess what's going to be a Thursday. And please join us again and bring some more friends along. We'll enjoy the ride together.
May the Force be with you, always.